Welcome to the Courageous Living podcast, where we learn to exchange our struggles for strength and embrace courage as a lifestyle. I'm your host, Courage Molina, author of Power Principles, Courageous Living, How I Overcame Depression, Saved My Marriage, and Took Back My Life, executive director of Mosaic Women Network, networking organization for lady bosses, entrepreneurs, and professionals. I am so excited to be back here with y'all. What's up? What's up? What's up? Listen, I have an amazing treat for you. My friend Adrienne Young, who is a gorgeous wife and mother, chief visionary of Remnant Warriors Global Inc. She's so many things. I feel like I should give her all her props, but I'm just so ready to get her on the line. So I'm just gonna bring her in. Adrienne, what's up? What's up?
Good morning, good day, and good evening, whenever you're catching this podcast. Thanks so much, Courage Molina, for having me with you.
I'm so excited to have her on. So let me just tell you all about Miss Adrienne, okay? So I met Miss Adrienne Young over at a school where we both used to work. I met her kind of in the hallway, and my first impression of her was that, oh, she's so cute. And I don't mean like, oh, cutesy. I mean like very well put together, just very polished, but not overly polished. Like, oh, is that her natural look? And if I weren't more confident in myself, I probably would not have liked her because she was so well put together. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those people, you see them and you're like, I bet you they look that cute all the time. You kind of get a little side eye. And that was my first impression. And guess what? I was right. She cute all the time. All the time, y'all. She's always so very stylish. And then we kind of connected through this group. She was I don't know if you still are, a very serious thrifter. Do you still do that, Adrienne?
Yeah, I do.
And she's like, you're like, how is it that she looks so cute all the time? Where's she getting
I
this
do
stuff
it
from?
not
She's
as
like, girl, I
avid as
never
I
been to a
used
thrift
to,
shop.
but I did go
What?
like
I've
2
never
days
been to a
ago.
thrift shop and saw something so cute. She's very well put together. But beyond that, honestly, and I know this is the first time that you've heard this, there was something. There's this air about you, and I really want to make sure I get this right, and people don't take this the wrong way. Even when I met her then, and I'm not sure how true it was for her at the time, but even when I met you, it's been a long time actually. Probably like back in 2012. We're in 2018, so yeah, it's been a minute. 2013, something like that. So even when I met you then, you had this air of confidence about you. You seemed so very comfortable in your skin, and to kind of know who you were and what you were doing and what you brought to the table. And I found that to be, and I was intimidated by that. I know a lot of times people will say like, oh, she's so intimidating. No. You weren't intimidating, right? Because I feel like that's energy that we put out. But when I met you, I was so very intimidated by you. And I think that when we are intimidated by people, that really should be a flag for us to self-reflect. That was an opportunity for me to hold up a mirror and say, okay, what am I not happy with? What is not settling with who I am in the space that I occupy? That someone else operating just in their greatness. And you were kind to me. You were genuine. You were great at what you did. Do you know what I mean? You were not overbearing in any way. And so at the time and even probably some now, if I'm going to be honest, I felt like, oh, I can't be at the table with her, or I can't operate in her space. And I just think that if people feel that way when they're around anyone, they have to start self-reflecting, and they have to start asking themselves, what is happening with me that somebody else's greatness makes me feel bad at who I am or where I am? How do you feel about that? I know this is my first time telling you this, and I'm actually like almost in tears just thinking about so many things that I want us to talk about on this podcast. So many things. How does that make you feel? Let's start there. This is straight out of the gate. I'm hitting her with this, and I've never told you that before.
Don't really know, because um, I never saw myself as intimidating, but I can see that because of the fact of the God in me, I walk a little higher and taller than I used to. And it's because I figured out who I am, and my identity is not have never now at this point in my life, not wrapped up in what people think or not think about me. So many years when I worked in a job, I would say literally, I'm going to hide my light and just do my job and go on about my business because I got tired of being attacked for those very reasons. Or even in high school, I remember a guy said to me on the last day of my high school, he said, I never ever wanted to be around you because I didn't know about you. I thought this, I thought that. But now that I've had a conversation with you, I see that I missed out. And I think that's what we do with a lot of disservice to a lot of people. We quote unquote judge by what they look like on the outside, not knowing the person's story. People don't know what it costs to look well put together when you're literally have been crumbled on the inside. Like people don't know that I've been raped, I've been molested, that there were times where I wanted to complete suicide. So when you see that, the glory after the story and the intimidation, it makes sense because people see the finished product. And even still, I'm a work in progress, but yet I'm not, it doesn't confuse me or anything like that. That's just sometimes how the enemy will work. But the fact that you reflect on yourself and say, okay, what is it about me that makes me feel like I can't be around that person? One of the things my bishop taught me one time, he was flying, he's gone on now. And there was a famous person on the plane with him, and his wife was like, oh my God, they're such and such. We need to get their autograph. And he was like, they need to be getting my autograph. And he taught us that point to have confidence in who we are and not allow who people are in their status of what they're looked at to feel like we can't eat at that same table, just because everybody has a story. And once we get to know the person behind the story, the glamour and the glitz, we realize that literally they put on a skirt just like I do. They have to go to the bathroom just like I do. They have issues just like I do. And it's good that people see the good. But if you sat down and have a conversation with someone and saw what's really behind the beauty on the outside and all that they went through on the inside, you realize, you know what? I can relate. I can so relate to that person.
And it kind of set me on this journey of, well, am I operating in my greatness? What am I doing? Even if I'm not achieving a goal that I think that I could achieve at, or you have not, acquired a certain level of success, asking yourself, what am I doing in the space that I'm in right now? Am I living my best life right now? Am I allowing for, like you said, the glory of God to shine through me right where I am? Or am I playing small? Am I settling? And at the time when I met you, girl, I was playing small. I was settling. I was trying to convince myself to commit to something I didn't want to do. And that time when I met you, that's where I was mentally. I was trying to convince myself to say yes to a career path that for so long I had known, this isn't how I want to do it. And this isn't the space that I want to operate in. But because I was trying to convince myself, and I could see, really, like you said, like you knew who you were, you understood your identity. And for me to be living in, as I look back, I can say an identity crisis. Right? I didn't know who I was. I wasn't holding on to who God says I am. I was defining myself based on where I was in life, what I was deciding to do, the things that I had been through, my experiences, everything around me, my circumstances. I had allowed my circumstances to define me. And in that space, that identity crisis, meeting people who are walking in their greatness and living in who God has called them to be, it should rub you the wrong way. I'm going to say that it should rub you the wrong way if you are not living the life that you've been called to live. And I'm not talking about your achievements. I'm talking about your identity. Are you living like you know who you are called to be? And if you aren't, then you should expect to feel uncomfortable when you are around people who are. You should expect to feel that roughing of the edges, because it is to inspire you, to urge you, to push you into, being who you've been called to be. And so, Adrienne, I want to thank you for just answering the call. And I want to thank you for being yourself. And when I met you, I felt like you were unapologetic about your greatness. I don't mean that like in a cocky way or anything. You were just so genuine. And just like you were just like naturally awesome. And I think that we are all naturally awesome if we walk in our true identity. I think that we all are naturally awesome. But when we are trying to fit ourselves into something we are not, that's when we become uncomfortable, you know? And even like sometimes jealous of like, well, man, she seems so free and she seems so whatever. You know what I want to say, that y'all have the freedom to be yourselves also. But I want to talk about
Right.
your transition some. So you were working at the school when I met you, and you transitioned. Can you talk to me about that transition? Wow.
Mhm. Well, very comfortable in my position, had it made, quote unquote. And when I started teaching Bible study for my church, I told them I could only do it online because I couldn't physically be in a building because of my children. So I started teaching on Facebook Live, and I asked God to give me just 100 women, and He gave us over 3,000 at that time. And I knew then this is way bigger than me. And long story short, I did an impromptu Bible study one night. And from there, 16 women, we started praying and fasting together for the next level of what is this that God is doing. And from there was birth Remnant Warriors Global Incorporated. He told us to become a nonprofit, and literally in 30 days, which is unheard of, we got our full nonprofit status and incorporation. And I remember
Wow.
feeling one day when I was sitting
Wow.
across from someone who came to visit me at school. I was a college counselor. And when she was speaking, it was like I was listening to the woman on Peanuts, like womp, 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 womp. The whole time I'm sitting there like, lady, I really don't want to be with you. This is not it. And I remember coming home and talking to those ladies, crying, like, I feel like God is asking me to leave this job, but I can't. I have a mortgage, I have school tuition payments, I have all these things that I was telling God why I couldn't leave. And I remember literally wrestling with Him. It was like 1 o'clock that night to 6 o'clock that morning. I wrestled with Him, screaming and hollering in my bed, wrestled with Him. And around 6,
Girl.
he said to me, all I need is your yes. And I said, yes. Regardless of a mortgage, a car payment, school to, I'll say yes. And I put on Shekinah glories, yes, and just surrender. And I said, now listen, God, you're going to have to tell my husband. You're going to have to tell the head of school, who I absolutely love. We had a new one at that point. And he's like, okay. The next morning, I
Listen.
ran into the hallway to my head of school, he said, Adrienne, how's life? I said, my life or life in general? He
This
said, well,
is so
both. I
crazy. On
said,
the day
well,
that we are pregnant,
life in
so
general. I said,
yesterday,
God is
I
doing,
even posted on
great things.
Facebook,
And
like,
in my life, I just birthed a
okay,
nonprofit,
I do
blah,
a
blah,
lot of
blah. He
crying
said,
on this
oh,
journey. I mean,
you're
I
leaving me,
literally
aren't
just
you?
posted that yesterday
And
because
I
it's
said, yes,
funny.
I
Even though
am.
we weren't still at the
I
same
am.
school, we were
And he
both
encouraged me.
like,
He said, Adrienne, you
okay,
have to be in the will of God.
at
That
the
is the
same
safest
time. And
place to be.
we,
And if you stay here,
didn't
you
talk
will be
about this. We weren't
miserable.
like, hey, girl,
I
how's
don't
life
want you to
going?
leave,
I think I'm about to quit. Oh, yeah,
but
me
you
too. It
have
wasn't
to be
like
in the
that.
will of
So I
God.
watched it
And 2
unfold. And
days
when
later,
you
we
did a lot
told
of
the
crying.
faculty and
And
staff,
at that
and it
time,
was like
I
air
don't
was
think that I
sucked out of
was,
that place. It
like,
was
I
a
don't think I
shock.
had Facebook notifications
I cried
on
a
my
lot. Did
phone.
not
So it
like it.
was
It's very
like
uncomfortable. We
definitely
ended
like a
up
God
moving from
thing. So
Charlotte
you
to where
went
we are
live,
now in
and I had
South
already been
Carolina.
thinking about the fact that I was quitting. I needed
It
to
was
quit.
not an
I
easy
had seen I was going to leave the
decision,
classroom
but
for a
the
long time,
peace
and I was
that
waiting for
followed it
things to
was
be
worth it.
perfect. I
And
needed for
even
things
now,
to
I
line
still
up
wonder, should I go
wonderfully.
back
And
to what I know?
you went live one
It's been
morning,
a
and
year
I
now,
caught you, and I was like, oh,
but
let
I
me see her. She's so
realized
cute.
that
Let me
if
see
I
what she's
do that,
saying.
I will
And you
forfeit
started
the people
sharing,
who are waiting
and I
on me.
thought,
It's so much
this has
bigger
got to
than
be a
me.
joke. This
So yes,
this has got to
financially
be a
it is
joke. She is
strapping and
not
hard. Sometimes
saying
I
that
don't get to
she's
do what I used to
leaving. She's
do or
not talking
shop
about
like
all
I
the
used
same
to
things.
shop.
My position
Um,
as a Spanish teacher.
I miss that.
Just let me just
I
say this: as a
miss
Spanish teacher,
wondering,
you
okay, are we going to
always
make
want
this
you
payment
always
this
want the
month?
upper
It
level
is a
classes
trust
because those are the
walk.
kids who love
It's
Spanish.
not
Those
always
are the
glitz
ones that are
and
going to do the
glamour.
work. They
When
are
it
a
comes to
cakewalk, and that's what I
transitioning,
had.
you just
I had the
have to
cream
trust
of the
him.
crop.
I am in
My
seminary full
position was
time
amazing.
as a result,
My
which is
pay
fully
was
being
great.
paid for right
And
now.
basically anything I said I needed or
So
wanted
that
from my
in and of
department, it
itself,
was
I
an
mean, I'm
easy
totally in
yes
the will of
because I
God,
had been there
but
with
it's
them
not
for some
always
time and I
comfortable.
had built up a Spanish
And
program. So the
I do
idea
have moments when
of
I'm like,
leaving a
Lord, I'm
place
about
that
to
you
go to
hate, that's easy.
CMS or something, but I don't.
Like, ooh, I'm so tired of these folks, I'm out. That's so easy to do. But when it's something that you've worked for, you work towards that. You work to get to that spot. You work to be at a place where they appreciate you and they know that you're doing great work and they trust you, and that's where I was. And so for me to be hearing this is it. You are finished at that school. Like, it is time for us to take this next step. I was like, oh, I can't do it, God. Like, I hear you, but your girl can't do it because this doesn't make any sense. And I actually said, no, I don't think so. I think I'm going to pass. Lord, thank you, though, for that opportunity, but I don't want it. And then here comes Adrienne. Here she comes,
Mm-hmm.
talking about she wrestled and she's saying yes, and God's like, see there? And I'm like, man, just because she crazy don't mean I'm gonna follow her craziness, you know. But it was just this confirmation, like, yes, it's possible for you to be in a great spot and or for you to be in a spot that you think is great. And for me to call you into this thing that your soul has been longing for, like, I'm calling you into this, it's possible. And so I was so thankful that you shared it. It was wonderful. And it seemed like as I watched this thing unfold, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you don't know stuff from the outside, right? From the outside, it seemed lightning fast, your progression from my point of view. It seemed so quick. It was like one day you were saying that you were going to say yes to God. In my mind, the very next day you started a Bible study. And on the first Bible study,
Mm-hmm.
you had like 1 billion people that were able to study online. And then the next day you had this
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit. I mean, it literally seemed like there was an accelerant from this last place that you were to this new place. Is that how you experienced it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amen to that. I think a lot of times, just like I thought, like, wow, it seems like overnight. And the reason I wanted to ask that question is because, well, sometimes there is an acceleration process with God, right? That does happen. We've seen that biblically where, he sowed a seed in the same year, 100-fold, right? Like we've seen that. So it does happen. But I think more often than not, there was some work that went in behind the scenes, work that went in underground, that we're not privy to. And so when someone else is watching you and they're starting a business, they're starting a ministry, they are starting an organization, they are transitioning, sometimes they can see their lack of fruit in the beginning as a sign that, one, they didn't hear from God, or two, that this isn't going to be success for them because it doesn't look like yours. So okay, I
That's a
started this
great
week,
question.
and Adrienne
The
also
Bible
started
says if
this
you're
week,
faithful over a
and
few
now she's
things, he'll
got
make you ruler over many.
all of these followers, and
And
she's got this
what
great
people didn't see are the
organization, and
years
here I
that I
am
would
on
drive
day
home
20
when I was in college, my
also,
senior year,
but
to
now I
teach
see
a high
myself
school
as a
class
failure
every Sunday of like 10
because
people.
I don't take that Adrienne. So I love that you're
What people
transparent
didn't
and
see is
saying,
like
no,
3
baby,
years
this was a
prior
long
to me
time
going live
coming.
on
That I put in
Facebook, I was
work
faithful in my church,
before
teaching on Wednesday
you
nights
could
to
see
the
the fruit
women.
above ground. There was
And
work
I
that
would
was
do
going on.
Zoom
And I say
as well,
underground,
where
like off
30
the
women
grid.
would pop
That's
on
not
for Zoom while there were
necessarily
30 people in class.
in
And
such
I
a
was quote
public
unquote
platform. So
teaching live there
Facebook
for 3
allows people
years.
from all over to see.
What people
With
didn't see is me
Zoom, even
teaching
if
on
people
Sunday
are
school
invited, they
for
kind of
3
have to
years
know
as
you or
well.
somebody knows
So by the
them. But when
time
you see it on
I
Facebook, it's
went
like this
live on
above
Facebook, I
ground
had been doing
fruit
this for
that you see.
years.
And if that's all they
For
saw,
years.
they
And
didn't get
so
to
I quote
see
unquote
when
had
you
a
were cute
following
little
for the women who are
sapling. They
Zoom. They
didn't
were
get
like,
to
oh yeah,
see
we're coming, we're
your
coming,
roots
we're
grow.
coming.
The seeds planted a
And
long
I
time
was
ago. They didn't
also
see
doing
when you were in the
Beachbody
years
and
of
they knew
drought or the
me
years that
from
maybe
that
you
as
felt
well.
like,
So yeah, it
you
looked like
didn't
it was
see this
overnight,
level
but it
of
was
success
plowing the field
above ground. And
years
so I
before
love
that,
that you
being
were transparent in
faithful
that,
over the few things that he
because I
gave
think that's
me.
important.
And then when it blossomed, it did look like acceleration, but I truly believe it's because of the yes. When you say yes to God and you continually say yes, then he will just add and add and add and add. But my capacity for more was there because I was handling the few.
Mm-hmm. Oh, girl. Hmm. Right. Right. Oh, that's good. And it's like you said, building the fortitude to stand what's coming at you. You stand what's going to come next, because the greater the exposure, the greater the
Right.
platform, the more responsibility you have. And I tell people all the time, those big blessings that y'all are praying for, myself included, oh, I want a blessing of this. Blessings are a responsibility. I would love for somebody to tell me something they were blessed with that wasn't a responsibility. Children are blessing. Girl, are your kids a responsibility? Yes. Are they, do they require hard work? Are they great, blessings and
Yeah.
wonderful and so cute? Yes,
And
but
I'll
they are
encourage
sometimes
those who are
heartache and
starting out,
pain and
I'll say
headache
this, that
also,
get your roots
with
deep
all
because you
their
don't want
wonderfulness. People
anything
say,
like
oh
the
my gosh,
Bible
I want to
said,
be blessed
the
by the husband
seeds
of my
were
husband.
scattered and
And they're
some sprouted
17
out
years.
immediately.
Listen,
But the
He is
cares
a
of life can
blessing.
choke it
Please
out, or the
understand being
sun
a
can
wife is a
scorch it. You do
responsibility.
not want to be out there without
It's a
any root, because you
responsibility.
will be
So
burned,
when you're looking to
and
be
the
blessed
cares of
with
life
this
will choke
huge
you out.
ministry, or you're
So
looking
I
to be
would
blessed
say,
like someone else is
don't pray
blessed,
for
you got
quick
to know it's a
success. Pray for your roots to
responsibility
get real
also.
deep
And sometimes you're
and be
not equipped and you're
grounded
not ready. And so if you
in the
run
word, be
into
grounded in prayer, be grounded in
manipulation,
fasting. Don't allow what you
scheming or
see as the
whatever to
facade of
get that
filters on
blessing, you don't want to walk the
Instagram and
walk
Facebook
to,
and
get to the right
numbers
way. You want to
to impress
scheme and
you,
lie and cheat or whatever to get
because
that
that can
blessing.
be fleeting as well.
Baby,
People
you're not
can
going to have what
they
it
can hit a
takes to
heart
keep
real
it,
quick, or hit a
to
thumb
nurture
real
it,
quick,
to
or
grow it,
put a
to
prayer
protect
emoji
it,
up real
to
quick.
serve it.
But you
You're not going
really
to
want to
have
be
what you need
grounded. So
because
when
you come by it,
that does
the
go
way.
away,
So
you
I
are
do
still
want to,
grounded in
I
God,
also
and you're
agree,
not
like,
grounded in a
man, you better
platform.
watch what
I
you're out
tell
here
a lot of
asking
people,
for.
a
And if you're
lot of
asking for
people
it, you need
want
to
the
be preparing
platform,
yourself
but
to
you don't
handle the
want the
weight that will
pain that
come with
comes
it,
with it.
because it is a
A
mighty
lot
weight,
of people, they
especially
want
when
the
God is trusting you with
stage,
his
but they
people.
don't know the
An increased
story. And
platform
I'm telling you,
means
there is
more
a lady
people,
out there who
more
literally
individuals, more souls that
copied
you're not
our
responsible for.
website.
The enemy's
She's
not coming for you
copied,
when you had
literally
5 people.
word
Not
pasted
being
to our
responsible for
website and said it was
5,000,
hers.
being called to serve
She's
500,000,
claimed Women Who War.
5 million.
She's
You
claimed
think he's going
Warriors
to be like,
Arise.
oh, well, she's
But
got
I
five
pray
million
for
souls
her,
that she's pouring
because
into.
the
I'm going to let
copy
her
and paste
thing. No,
anointing
he
is
can't
not
just let
going
you
to
do your
get
thing.
it.
He's
If
going to
she
come at you that
knew
much
the
more harder. And I
demons that
think
we
that we
fight
cannot ignore that.
daily
That's
and
the
have
greatest thing he's
fought
got
to
going,
get
making
here,
people think it's
she
not a
would
real thing, it
run the
doesn't
other
exist,
way.
or
So
nobody's
I
attacking you.
pray for
Y'all better
her that
understand the
God
devil is
will
real.
allow her to have her own
He's
ministry,
defeated, but he is also
because it won't
real. And
last.
we have to
Nothing
understand
that
that.
has roots
I
won't last.
also
We see that with
think
plants. They
sometimes
become
that
yellow, they
when
die
people
to
see a
dry
certain
up
level
if
of
you
like
don't nurture it,
achievement, or
and
like
they
right
don't get
now,
that
so
strongness
you
like a
just had a
tree. Like, I
conference,
want
you've
that
had
kind. But
prayer
you've seen trees be
gatherings,
uprooted by
and so
storms.
from the outside,
So
for all intents and purposes,
I
it
pray
looks
for
like
people who think it's
you have
easy
arrived. It
and
seems
that
as
it should
though
happen
you've arrived. Like,
suddenly.
oh,
Yes, we do
she has
serve a
arrived. And I love that
suddenly
you shared
God.
that even though
But
you're
I
doing
kind of
great
shudder
things
for things
and
that
you're
people
pushing
think that's an
forward
overnight
and you've
success.
seen
We've
blessings
seen the
and you've
one hit
seen growth,
wonders, and we
that
still
even
sing
in
those
this
one hit wonders,
season,
but where are they
there are
now?
still sacrifices, there's still
I don't
adjustments
want to
that
be
you
that
are
person.
making, as far as like your level of comfort. And I think that people think when they transition over, once they've seen a certain level of success, there won't be any more sacrificing and there won't be any more like places where you're uncomfortable. And that is just absolutely not true. Can you talk about some of the things that you deal with just like in this transition a little bit? Because I know for a fact it's not all roses. That's just not, listen, this transition is something else. Even with all the things that you see on social media, even with all the things that you see on TV or hear on the radio, whatever. I just had the same feeling yesterday. Like, I cannot even remember the last time I had a mani and a pedi. And I'm not saying that's big stuff. I'm not saying that's big stuff. But what it does make you start thinking about is like, okay, so I transitioned over here to this place where this is a calling. And there are just simple things that I used to be able to do that I can't do like I did before. Like you said,
Right.
this walk, it's not the same as the last walk. I'm not salaried. I can't say on the 5th and the 20th, this check is going to come in so I can get my hair done. I can travel this way. I can do things for my kids this way. If I want to go out to lunch or breakfast or brunch, I don't need to check my budget. I can just say, oh yeah, girl, lunch, yeah, let's do it. Oh yeah, I'm going to go get my nails done. Oh yeah, this is a cute outfit, so I'm going to go and I'm going to get it. Or I have a new event, so I'm going to go ahead and pay whatever for my outfit. It's not like that. And even though that seems so small, when you become accustomed to living a certain way, and you worked hard, man, I worked hard to get to that place. You worked hard to get there, and now it's like, okay, I'm walking in my calling,
Right.
and I can't even get my nails done. I'm walking in my calling, and I got to make coffee at the house. I can't just be like, okay, I'm going to go to Starbucks. Let's just talk about that for a second. My sister, please, this struggle, it's different, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. He is. Wow.
I love it. How has the Remnant Warriors global organization, how has that changed, or has it changed
Mm-hmm.
like what you thought
Mm-hmm.
your God was going to do with you, right? So sometimes we think, oh, I think I'm going to go this way. And then you step out and you say yes. And then once you get into it, you're like, you know what? This is not where I thought I was going. I'm loving it, but it is not where I didn't think we were going this way. Have you experienced that, or did you know exactly where it was going when you stepped into it?
Mm-mm. Right. Right. It is. I think you said it all. I mean, you just have to be willing to sacrifice now. Um, I think about everything that God talks about in the Bible when it comes to sacrifice.
I love it. I love that. And it
Nothing
doesn't
that
have
we
to
do
look
for
like you
God
thought.
is like not
The
worth it.
saying
So
yes
when we
doesn't mean
sacrifice
it's not
now,
like a
there is a
contract where
reward
you're like,
later.
okay, God,
I
this is
truly
kind of what I
believe
think we're
that
going to
nothing
do.
that I give up
And
to
so I'll
Him
say
will not
yes
be
to that.
given back to me
And
double. That's
God
just
is like, okay,
Bible.
well, because that's what you
All the
thought, we're just going
disciples
to keep it
literally
that
gave
way.
up their
He
careers. They
can
were
blow your mind
doctors. They were
all the
tax,
time, all
collectors.
the
They were
time. You
fishermen.
think you
They
know, and
weren't
you're
just
like,
like
wow, no, I didn't see
barely
that one.
making it. They
Okay.
were very versed
This
and
is what
doing
we're
well in
doing.
their
Okay, well, I
careers.
said
And they
yes, so
left not
let's do
only
it. And
those
I want to encourage
careers, but they
people, even
left
when it
their
changes,
family.
even when it
They
doesn't
left their
go down the
comfortableness
road.
to
I was a
follow
little more
God. And I'll never
resistant.
forget, He said, listen, nothing that you
I
give
think
up to
that
me
is,
won't go
I have to be
unnoticed, that
honest
you
about
won't
that.
get
I was a
back
little more resistant. I
double
could see
in the
in
time. And that's
seminaries
what
where
keeps
he was
me.
calling me, and I was like, no, I
When I
don't want to
want to go
go
get, I'm
over
still going
there.
today,
I
girl.
was
I'm just going to
like, can we have a talk real
Jesus.
quick? Can we just do like a
I
little
think every once in a
conversation where
while
we
we
can
just
talk
deserve
about
to be
where
treated.
I
But
would
you know
like to
what?
see
I
this
remember
going,
listening to
where
a
I want to
prophetic word from
go,
Lana
because I
Vines or a
see
couple
where
of
it
weeks
looked like you're about to
ago,
take me, and
and
I
she
don't want to
talked
go
about how
over
God wants
there.
to bless you even in little things.
I don't
She
think
said
I'm
she was
fit for it.
meditating.
It's
You
not
know, Lord, I
because
love flowers. I just love
there
flowers.
is
I
some
wish that
like,
somebody would
oh,
bless me with
there's
flowers.
this
And the
doubt,
next
right?
day,
Like, I'm
somebody
not
blessed
sure
her
that
with
I'm one for that.
flowers.
I'm not sure
So
that I'm
even those little
qualified for
things
that.
that we're
I
giving
think
up,
this must, I think
He said, you
maybe
have
we
not
got
because
our
you ask
wires
not. Why
crossed.
not? We said, you know what, Lord,
Certainly,
I would
you
love
don't
to get
want
my nails
me.
and toes done.
Hello,
And
let's
however
look at
you
my
want that to
past.
happen, where
You don't
somebody
want me
gifts
to
it
be
to
the one
me,
that's
or
doing
I do
this
the
thing
baddest
over
manicure
here.
via YouTube and
Um,
my husband does it
Really
for
just this
me.
lack, like you said,
I
this
would just
lack of
love that.
understanding
He
who I was. And
loves
sometimes I
to
think that
love on
when we
us.
say yes to
So
God
with
and
the
He starts taking
sacrifices
us
that
down a
we
path
are
that we
doing,
never
He is well
imagined, we can
pleased.
get in our
And
own
I do
way if we
believe,
don't remind
Marina, that we'll
ourselves
get
who we are and
double for
who we
everything that
are
we
in
gave
Christ
up
and
for
who we're
Him.
on
And it's so
this
minor
journey
and
with.
compared to it, the peace
To
that we
not allow
have.
that to keep us
Yes, we
from
would love to get
completely
our hair
saying
done
yes.
as often.
Even like you
Like I
said,
would
it
love
didn't
to
matter. I
have
initially thought you were going to do
new
like, oh, I
outfits
thought it
every
was going
time
to
I had a
be,
speaking
Adrienne
engagement, but
Young
it's taught me how
Ministries,
to
and I
be
was down for
creative
that.
and
That
to
sounds great.
rely on
I
Him.
love that you
And
didn't
it'd be like the children of
shrink
Israel,
back and say,
nothing
well,
wore
nope,
out
that's not
during
really what
that
I was looking
time.
for, a nonprofit. So
But it's well worth
I'm
it.
gonna say no
I
to
mean, we're
that, and I'm gonna try
sacrificing
to
now time away
plug
from
away
our
on this other
family,
thing. I love
time away from doing some other
that you just
things so
said
that
yes. And when you
we
say yes,
be
it needs to be
encouraging
like
to
a
the women
yes
that
to
who are
whatever.
listening
I'm saying
to
yes,
this
God,
podcast.
to
And I
what?
don't
To
do it to
Section A,
receive
option
anything
one,
in
option two.
return.
I'm saying
We do
yes
it to
to
bless
whatever.
God, but I
Whatever you
know
bring
Him
to me, whatever you put on my
because when you
heart,
give,
whatever you put on
it's
my
given
mind,
unto
whatever
you.
door you
Good
tell
measure,
me to
pressed down,
walk
shaken
through,
together, running
I'm
over,
just
shall
gonna say
men
yes.
give
An
unto your
unconditional
bosom.
yes.
So
Right? That's
it's
what you're
worth it.
talking about.
It is worth it. And I do make my request known. Like, Lord, I would love to have my hair done before I do this, however you want to do it. And just allow Him to love on you in that way too.
Girl, say that again.
Girl, I had no idea
Hmm.
that I would have a nonprofit. I had no clue. I really thought I was going to be on my own doing and I do have Adrienne Young Ministries, but I never saw God putting together 13 women who love each other and are literally like the first church. If somebody needs something, we pool our money together and buy it or pay a bill or pray for each other or fast with each other. I never would have thought it would be to this level where we are birthing prayer gatherings and doing trainings for warriors and like we'll be doing a mentorship program later. I mean, no. I thought I would preach and teach and have Adrienne Young Ministries and that be it. I never saw this coming.
Amen.
Mm-mm. Yes, he is.
And you have to exercise that authority. Sometimes we have the thing in our hand that's going to save our life, that's going to change our situation. Like you said, you've been given authority over the things that you've been through, and you have these angels that you can give direction to. But listen, boo, you have to give the direction. You have to exercise the authority. It's just like anything else you have authority over. I may have authority over my home, but if I don't exercise that authority, people will come in and can come in and treat me any kind of way. It doesn't take away the fact that I actually have the authority. You have to exercise it. And I think that sometimes we miss that. We have been through something. And I know I certainly missed it when it came to depression. There was a time I overcome depression. I was like, okay, I'm doing great. But in a new season, at a new level, there were new things. It was something new that was causing me to doubt myself. It was something new that was bringing that cloud back. And I just took it like, oh, okay, I'm just going to be depressed because I struggle with depression. I used to say, I haven't conquered it. I haven't been delivered from it. Oh, I can't believe I used to speak that death. I haven't been delivered from it, but I have it under control. So I know how I can deal with it. And then one day I'm reading, am I praying? I was like, why are you tagging this thing along with you? Why don't you just, activate your authority over it and say, no, actually, I'm not struggling. No, you're not coming with me in this new level. I have overcome this. I'm going to leave it where it is, right there in the past, because I have the authority over it. I don't have to get into those feelings. I don't have to deal with that. And I shouldn't expect to see them in the future. That shouldn't be my expectation where I'm holding my breath. Well, I'm just waiting because I know something's going to come and then I'm going to be right back in that same headspace. It's insane how we can have the keys to our freedom. We can have exactly what we need, the power to exercise that power over things that would threaten the
Hmm.
thing that God has given us.
It's
And for us to just be like,
Yeah, I
well, it,
remember I
it
read the
came up
book by
against me,
Shonda
so I'm just going
Rhimes,
to
A
let
Year
it
of Yes.
do its thing.
And
No, we
I
have to
love how she
exercise
said yes
that
to
authority
every
and we have to
opportunity
send
that she
those
was so used to
angels.
saying
They're
no
waiting on
to.
your command.
She
So
said
give
yes to
the
things
command.
that she
That's,
knew what she was getting
give the
into. But with
command.
God,
Don't
when
just
you
have them
say
sitting
yes, you
there
have no
chilling, waiting on a
idea.
command. Like, hey, you take us in, we can
It's
go out
like
of
with
here. We can
Abraham, he
handle
said,
this. This is going to
leave
be something for us to take
and I'll
care of.
show you
We
where to
have
go.
to
That's where we
activate that.
are
I
on
love
a
that you say
journey with
that, to
God. We
send
don't,
them.
we
I
truly
love
are
that.
walking by faith and not by
Let me ask
sight
you two
when we say
questions.
yes to
Same
him.
two questions
And
I
it's a
ask
continuous,
everyone.
not a one time yes,
Um,
because he's
what
such
is
a
the
gentleman and he
most
will not
courageous
allow
thing
us to
you've ever
be,
done?
invoke himself on us. It is a continual yes. But the thing about it is when you say yes to him, you're also saying yes to warfare.
Yes.
And I think a
And
lot of
second
times
question,
people
maybe
say,
you'll
oh,
have
yes,
this
I
one.
say
Think
yes to
about them.
you,
Maybe
God. I
you'll
say
roll them
yes
out
to
at the
you, God.
same
But you
time.
don't realize that
What
yes
is
costs
courageous
you.
living?
And the thing about it is, in that costly yes, you have a God who is covering you, and there's more for you than it is against you. So even in that costly yes, it's well worth it. It's well worth it. Like even now, I've been going through a lot of depression the past couple of weeks. And I realized though that it's not just for me. It's for the women who God would have me to minister to. And anytime you go through something, you now have authority over that. So now I have authority over depression because of what I've been through. I have authority over the mindset of thinking you're crazy. Is this, I don't know what I'm doing. Should I take medicine? Should I not? So anytime that you come out of anything that you're going through, and I know you went through this too, we now have authority in that area, because as we sit in heavenly places over above every principality and power, we have been given authority according to Luke 10 and 19 over those demons. So even in the midst of that, I have authority. And so your yes equips you to have authority over things that should make you really lose your mind. And your yes also allows a host of angels to be at your beck and call when you ask God to send them. So it's well worth it in the end.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're thankful for that. I love it. I thank you for being on the podcast. I know that we are very busy people, and so I never take for granted when somebody takes the time to share their wisdom, to pour
Yeah.
into the courageous living community. I love it. I love that, this is your life. Courageous living is your life. And I love that you mentioned it as a lifestyle, because I keep saying it and it sounds like a really cute tagline. We have to embrace courage as a lifestyle, but it is something that has been true for me in this journey. I said yes, and it is exactly what you said, a continual, unconditional yes. I said yes to the first thing, and it took me to one place, and then I realized, okay, I have to be strong and courageous again. Oh, I have to be strong and courageous again. And so instead of running from that, learning to embrace courage as a lifestyle. I'm not going to run from this idea that there are going to be things that um, cause me some anxiety or some fear. Or there's this new thing that's this uncertainty. I'm not going to run from that. I'm not going to use that as a tool for how I should go and where I should be. Well, if I'm completely certain, that's the only place I can be. If there's any uncertainty, then I shouldn't go in that direction. No, I'm going to be led by God. And very often, every time, as far as I'm concerned, every single time I follow and say yes, as I continue to say yes, it always leads me to a place where I have to be strong and courageous. And I just decided one day, you know what? I'm going to embrace this lifestyle instead of running, instead of hesitancy, because as I shared, I used to say, no, can we have a meeting about this? I'm not going to do it. Now I'm like, okay, let's go. This is my life. This is my lifestyle. And I think that when you're talking about following God to your destiny, to the promised land, to the places where He's called you to be, and the areas He's called you to have dominion over, I think that it is always going to be bigger than you can ever imagine, and you are always going to seem small up against it. And so you will absolutely have to be strong and courageous, understanding who's with you and who has gone before you. But because our flesh is weak, I think that's why He gave him so many reminders like this.
For
There
me,
isn't a question
courageous
of whether or
living,
not
and
I
that
can do
the
what
key
I said
word
I'm
is
going
not
to
the
do.
courageous part,
There's
is
no
the
question.
living that
I don't
we
need to be courageous
this
because
is
I'm not
what
sure
you
of
do
my
as your
resources or
lifestyle.
my ability. That's not
To
what
me,
God's saying.
being
He's saying, I need
courageous
you to be strong and
means you
courageous
know you're going to
because I know
face
how your
some
mind works,
opposition,
because I
but
know
you're
how the
willing
flesh
to
works,
go
because I
through
know what
that
it's
to
going
get
to
to
look
where you
like to
need to
you.
be.
So I have to give you this
When
constant
God
reminder.
told
And
Joshua
if we
so
walk into
many
that and say,
times,
you know what?
only
I'm
be of
going to
good
give an
courage, be
unconditional,
courageous, because he
continual
said,
yes to
Joshua, I
God
know you're going to
and
face
embrace
some
courage as a
things
lifestyle. We will see
that you
God move in
probably
a way
didn't
we could
sign
have
up
never
for in
imagined
this
in
life,
our
but this
lives
is the
and
only
through
thing
our
I need you to
lives.
do. Be
And so I want to thank you
courageous.
for sharing,
Only be
your journey, for
courageous.
being so
And
transparent.
that
I
helped me
definitely want you guys to
because of and it's
connect
funny, I
with
studied Joshua 1 for
Adrienne
a year
and the Remnant
before
Warriors
all
and
this
Adrienne Young
unfolded.
Ministries. So I will
And it
be
helped me to
including all of
realize
her
that I'm going to
handles
face
and
some
all of her
ites in the
websites
land,
on the show notes.
that are going to
Let
be
us know
some
what you
things
thought
and
of this
people who are going
podcast,
to
how this
cut the
podcast has
monkey
encouraged
and try to
you, how you
sabotage
loved it. If you have any
the
questions, if
promise.
you want to
But
reach out, please do
if I'm
write a review. Let
courageous
us
through
know
the
what you think. We
entire
want want to hear
process.
from y'all, and we
The
definitely want
promise
to
is going to
connect
be
to you.
right there, but
If
I
you'd like
might
to
have
see
to war
Adrienne in
and fight
person,
for it.
if you'd like to have her
So the
come out
most
to speak, be
courageous
sure
thing I
to check the
think
show notes
that
because
I
her
have
contact
did
information will
in
be
my
there, and
life,
I'm sure
besides
she
getting
will
married and having children, I
be
think
happy
it's pretty
to
courageous because you have
speak and
no
go
idea
where
what you're
God
going
leads
to
her,
do.
where the Spirit leads her. And so we want to thank you, Adrienne,
For
again
me, it
for
was
coming
standing
on.
in the
Thank you
pulpit
so
for my
much.
initial sermon because
All
I
right,
knew
y'all. We
then that
love
my
y'all.
whole
We
life was
will
about to change.
talk to y'all next
And
time.
I was about to go into a place where I could quit, but if I did, what would I do? So standing in that pulpit, preaching a sermon based off of Jonah called A Dry Land Called Destiny, and how I said that many people can't handle where you're going, and many people can't dock with you on your dry land called destiny. And ever since I opened my mouth to be his mouthpiece on that day, that is probably the most courageous thing I've ever did because I haven't shut up since. Mm-hmm. 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 Amen. Thank you.